Howdy folks, Nathan Adlin here coming at you from the 2018 North American International Show in Detroit. This is the Chevrolet Pavilion, and we've done something special. We had an opportunity to talk to two designers for the brand new Chevy Silverado. Now, keep in mind, we don't have any horsepower specs, we don't know payload or towing or any of that stuff, but what we do know, coming up next, is everything on the outside and inside of the vehicle when it comes to design.
And I've heard a lot of the comments, I've seen some of the blogs on it, and I can tell you that from the current generation to the next generation Silverado, there really wasn't anything about the previous gen Silverado that we were saying, hey, we're gonna completely depart from. It was really, we went through the creative process, you know, kind of the great early sketch that was done by one of the guys in the design studio, and just kind of the form vocabulary, the muscular form vocabulary of it, really just didn't drive any of those kind of architectural shapes. I would say today's truck, you know, you've got a body side that, you know, I would feel is very strong through the center, and it's got very wheel oriented. And I would say that's kind of a classic truck approach, right? Wheel oriented, whether they're round or squared or whatever. On this truck, what we wanted to do was really be sculpted from front to back, right? So we were kind of looking to kind of break away from, I'll call it traditional truck styling cues, and really put together a body side that was really expressive, muscular, had motion to it, energy, lines that kind of start and stop, and not exactly sure where they end. And to me, that's kind of a form vocabulary that you see throughout the Chevrolet lineup. You know, from a form vocabulary standpoint, we talk about it as lean muscularity. You know, wants to look like a great athlete, like the best MMA guy.
Right.
You know, not a heavyweight, not guys that are heavy and bulky, but somebody that's probably like about, you know, 190 pounds of just badass, you know,
right.
Ripped and lean, as fast as they are strong. And that's really kind of the inspiration for what the body side was. Lean, muscular, tension, lots of sculpture. And really, we know at the end of the day, a truck, at some point along the truck, it's an extrusion, right?
Right.
You've got to get from a regular cab to a double cab to a crew cab, from a short, middle, and long box. And so there is part of the truck where it has to be an extrusion, but we wanted to put as much sculpture in the body side to really not make it feel like there's an extruded part of the truck. And that was really the goal of it, is to really make it feel sculptural, much more than we've ever done before in kind of the Chevrolet design vocabulary. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, when you start working on a truck program, it doesn't take you very long to realize that really customers, when you start talking about design with customers, they really identify with the face.
Right.
First, foremost, it's almost like first, second, and third, they talk about the front end and what's the front end look like. And then there's the rest of the truck. What happens on the body side, what happens in the rear.
Right.
You know, typically in the rear of the truck, the tail lamps are pretty conservative, and there's a tailgate, you know, the business end of the tool.
Right.
But the front end, and what we wanted to do with this truck and this front end was, again, try to make a design leap of not just the next generation, but almost like 2 generations out. Kind of think about what you wanted to do as like a show truck, like what would come up as an advanced concept truck, and actually get it to production. I think, you know, one of the most iconic design elements of the new Silverado is the aero curtain in the front corner of it. I think what's great is kind of the way the headlamps are recessed back into the grille, kind of underneath the brow of the hood, kind of sunken in. We love that the LED technology lamps kind of gave us a small, slim lamp profile. It kind of gives us our front end a little bit of edge and a little bit of that kind of cowboy squint to it. And we love the fact of how integral the lamps are. You know, there's lamps up on top, high beam, low beam, the signature lighting with the light pipe on the mid-level lamp, and then turn signal down here. So it still has this kind of classic stacked Chevy headlamp above and below a bar, but just done in a very new way. You know, the aero curtain was something that part of the design challenge of making a truck bigger and bolder was also to come back to the engineering team and say, hey, I'm still able to make this more efficient. So that was part of our goal, was to do better, make improvements aerodynamically. A lot of that happened with the length of the upper, the curvature of the upper, the back of cab spoiler, the little aero lip on the gate. But these front aero curtains here, the fact that you have air coming through here collected, it exits in the front of the wheel opening. So the air that comes through here really helps the air that comes around kind of come together, and it kind of cleans up the body side. So normally in this area there's a bunch of dirty air And this aero curtain really helps this air kind of come back to the front corner, down the body side, and be much cleaner.
Six and a half foot bed, double cab. There will also be a single cab with a 8-foot bed. Hopefully some other configurations in the future we can tell you about. But the next part, interior. All right, let's just take me through it.
Well, all right. Yeah, so on the interior, of a truck, you have to approach it quite a bit different than you would any other sedan or passenger car, because it's a tool. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we approached it, right? We knew it needed to be bold and rugged from an appearance standpoint, but above all else, it has to be functional.
Right.
And that's how we started, right? So we placed everything that we had as far as a usability function or a knob or a button or a control where it needed to be, and then we built around that.
I see.
And I think that really shows through in the feel of all the controls. Like, everything is exactly where you want it to be when you need it, and that's what these guys and gals really look for.
So let's start all the way over there on the left.
Yep.
And kind of work our way over. Now it looks like the headlight switches have changed, if I'm right, and also the 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive
Absolutely.
switches. Because they used to be the same size, I believe, stacked on top of each other.
And only knobs.
Uh-huh.
So what we've increased here with functionality is the addition of some of the buttons with the knobs and the addition of this mode switch.
Okay.
So prior to this, you would have had a knob that would have given you your auto 4 up, 4 down, or 2 high. So we still have those. Those are now in a button form. And then we have our mode switch. The mode switch comes in many configurations, from a single connection to one function to just 2 arrows that allow you to go through a range of functions, which would appear on your DIC in the cluster. And then the light switch, we've got all the regular controls that you would have, plus your bed light. And then we've got digital buttons now to control your interior lighting, as opposed to a roller or a dial, for a little bit more precision, your fog light. And so on. So we find this to be a little bit larger, but a lot more usable for functions that you definitely use on a regular basis in a truck.
All right, now this is a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Because this is no longer where it used to be.
Yeah.
And one of our friends pointed it out because it was something that he constantly complained about. So what we're talking about is the fact that the steering wheel is now much more centered than it used to be. There was an offset before for years and years and years. So this is a big difference.
It is, and it's straight on center. It feels right now. And then what we've done on top of that is we've really appointed the steering wheel in a way that feels a lot more upscale and more precise, especially in the controls. So the controls now with these rollers that have an extremely tight, nice feel. The buttons are usable with large gloves. That's another big thing that we took into consideration with all the functions to make sure. Screens are nice and they're needed, and there's a lot of information that needs to be conveyed at that, but there's a limit with certain vehicles.
Sure.
And when you're out on the job site or you're out in Detroit in the middle of January and you've got your big gloves on, to take one of those off to have to do something can be a little bit of an annoyance. So we really thought about that. We've nicknamed this down here the piano keys because there's so many of them. You can get a maximum at times of up to 9 different functions down here. Please don't ask me to go through them. I don't know them all. We've relocated the trailer brake now from the left side over here down to here.
That's huge.
It is huge.
A really big change. And we were talking earlier about the way it actuates, and there's a return spring that really pushes it back out there for those of you who tow often. Sometimes when you do the squeezy thing, sometimes it feels like you have to go and force it back out. So this is a nice action right here.
Yeah, people have kind of gotten a kick out of me talking about this, but that is the one thing that has really delighted me during the development of this. From the very first one we received, it has just been the most precise feeling switch, and the whole design of it being more of a plunger style versus the little paddles that are used. It's just more precise. It's easier to keep clean and fits with the more upscale appearance we've given. We've got the connectivity now. We've still got the USB. We've brought in USB-C, which is nice. And believe it or not, the aux or the APO is still really desired by a lot of customers for a lot of different devices. So we have that, and then in some of our models, you can get your 110 outlet
which would flip up in that right there. Is there, if you had the 110, is there a separate button to trigger it, or is it always on?
It's always on.
Okay.
There will be one in here for when you have it in the gate.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, let's move over here because this looks similar to what the last generation had, but they're different sizes.
Similar but increased. So
Yeah.
we've taken all the storage that we've always had, which has been great, and we've increased it, and then we've added to it.
Okay.
So along with these being in the current vehicle, we've increased their size and usability, so everything's very easy to keep clean and holds a lot. We've added storage on top of the IP for your kind of everyday items. You can throw your sunglasses up there real quick while you're jumping out of the vehicle or whatever. So I call that kind of a temporary storage. We've got this particular model is showing the what we call the 20% seat. So this is a 6-passenger vehicle. This also is a console. So if I lower this down, which most people would probably have this in this position, you know, most of the time, it's a very usable large console. You've got tons of space and knick-knack spots here.
Yeah.
It also opens up, so you've got storage here, which is very convenient. And of course, your items would stay there when you put it back up if you have to. And then another little added storage area is the actual cushion itself opens up, and you've got a very large bin here.
Okay. That's new.
Yes.
New.
So storage was a very big part of our overall assessment of the interior. And I've got some items in the rear when we get a chance I'd like to show you as well that are quite ingenious.
Yeah, you know, the design of this vehicle goes beyond just a new dash. We're talking about an all-new cabin.
Absolutely.
Larger size, I believe, what, 4 extra inches?
We've got an extra inch in height, and we've got close to anywhere between 3 and 4 inches of couple distance, so your knee room in the back.
Right.
Feels like 6 to me. So I'm 6'3", and this is where I'd like to sit when I would be driving the vehicle. Now, when I get in the back seat, I can cross my legs. It's really, really big.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, why don't we have a look?
Sure, let's do that.
Before we go, can you please mention the choice for the column shifter? You don't have any knobs or buttons here.
There's no rotary or what? Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, the question is why column shift?
We found in a lot of discussions with customers and the way that these vehicles are going to be used, there's a certain usability that comes with that very defined movement and positioning that was very desired at the time.
Right.
There will be, I'm sure, a need and a desire to put some electronic transmission shifters in our trucks in the future. But for now, we found this to be the best execution.
One of the things that when we shortened up the front overhang, we really lost a lot of the volume and real estate that would help you get to a good aero corner.
Right.
And so, but front overhang, reducing front overhang was that was an important thing. You know, approach angle on a truck is incredible. We tried to minimize the air dam and minimize the front overhang to improve a front approach angle. And that was something that we felt current Silverado needed to improve upon.
Without a doubt.
And that was something that, and you could also easily take that front air dam off to improve your approach angle if customers choose. On Trail Bosses here, air dam is removed under the fascia. Truck has to look good with and without. You know, that's part of my design criteria.
Absolutely.
But again, it's we think that this front corner, the way the headlamp is, the integration of the bar, the aero curtain, you know, we really think this is really going to be iconic and absolutely from current gen Silverado to next gen, there's no chance that someone can't tell the difference. This is a very new statement.
I have a general question about Chevy trucks in general. Is this the new face of Chevy trucks, would you
Absolutely.
say? Okay.
Absolutely, you
so
bet.
we could expect a variant of this in the future
You bet.
and all the different
You
ones.
bet.
Okay, yeah, it makes
But
sense.
I'll tell you, I will say that at the same time, we're not interested in a Russian doll setup, right? We don't want, you know, big, medium, small. We really think that the truck market is specialized. So what you do on Colorado isn't just the same recipe in this, smaller. You know, that generally is a bit more of a sport approach, right? And then when you get to heavy duty, the expectation on what a heavy duty is even different. You know, that expectation of those customers, you know, they'd love to be driving in a semi, right?
Yeah.
And they respond to that. They aspire to that. So again, it's like our philosophy isn't just one design fits all. They have to work for each truck and what that truck's supposed to do, and of course what that expectation of the customer is. So
Of course.
yeah.
Talk about the mirror, because that's very unique.
Yeah, mirrors are very unique, and I would say what what really led us to this mirror was the fact that when we increased the cab, that part of the new upper is to actually make the windshield faster. The windshield's faster, the A-pillar's faster. And so when you're driving in it and you're kind of, by bringing the A-pillars out, you know, that kind of puts you know, the A-pillar in your vision, kind of your turn in.
Yeah.
And by taking the pedestal, the base of the mirror, and bringing it down below the belt, it actually opened up this area here. Normally this is where the stalk would come from the flag. And so this area here, this visibility in here is something, you don't need a lot of visibility, but the fact that you have some visibility through here really helps your turn in. So you're really able to catch if there's anything, object, something, little kid, something.
Way off.
Right up in here in the corner. And so to me, it was a huge enabler for this design. And certainly part of the packaging studies early on, and we went through the proposals of, you know, post-mounted, because actually this post-mounted here, this took a ton of effort, actually added mass to the truck. As much as we took mass out, this execution added it, but the fact that it gained visibility, you know, that's something that our customers, that's of high importance. That's a good design.
Now, what about aero? Is this beneficial, this design?
There is aero improvements with this, but I'd also say that if you're, you know, we did this early on in the program, so we were able to tune the whole corner of this upper for this. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's better or worse. It's better. If I was to put a more traditional mirror on this particular design, it would be worse. But they were all worked together. This wasn't an afterthought. You know, clearly the way that the pedestal is kind of sculpted in with the lines, it all had to work together. So improved aerodynamics and improved wind noise.
What about this light here? Is this to light up the ground?
It is. It is.
Pool light?
It's part of a task lamp. So so we, you know, that's something that in current truck, our current trailer tow mirror does a great job at kind of having a task lamp that really lights up around. You can rotate it and see it to the side, or it'll you know, as you open the door, it's forward. And so it's a nice feature that customers really like. So, and it's something that on the lower level trims, you may not want it, you may not want to pay for that, but as you kind of go up the trim levels, it'll be offered or optioned.
So in the rear cab, we've made a lot of improvements, in particular to storage. I want to show you these rear seat storage bins here. These are new for this year, and they're actually quite large. This will hold a standard laptop, or it's deep enough at the bottom to hold a full-size camera, things that are of value that you don't want to just leave out and let people see. So this is really nice, kind of hidden storage, a little secret there, compartment. The other thing that's nice is we've got the lift up rear seat, no latch, no handles, anything like that. You just lift up or push back down. So that's very convenient. And we've added a storage bin underneath the seat back here to organize your items, because we've got a fairly flat floor where items could really roll around and wreak havoc. So this is a good way for you to keep control on those. We also have an accessory bin that you can order through GM that's actually longer and taller. Another feature we've got is we've got the HVAC vents in the back of the console here, which again, this is the 20% seat, and the connectivity. We also have that in the up-level vehicles on the back of the console, and on those particular vehicles like your LTZ and your High Country, you can actually get heated rear seats now.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about like the different trim levels and how you differentiate between trim levels.
Sure. Well, some of the real obvious is just the materials alone, right? We've gone up to leather when you move up in those, so you get the cleanability and the durability of leather. We've added a lot of detail and appointments with that kind of step up. We've added more soft trim to the IP with the stitching. We've got a full console that's decked out with all of the deco, the chromes and the wood films and things that you would expect, and that provides also some extra storage that you don't get with the 20% seat. And then the options of connectivity and controls. The High Country comes with an 8-inch screen in the cluster, and a industry first for pickup truck is a heads-up display, which you can see in the High Country. So it's a full color, large, high definition heads-up display, controlled just like you would in any of our other vehicles.
what's exciting, for Chevrolet, part of our kind of tail lamp identity is always the dual lit signature. So in really any Chevrolet you look around the auto show here, you'll see 2 lit signatures, and it kind of comes from our Corvette, and we try to sprinkle that DNA all the way through. But one of the things that we wanted to do with this one was not just have 2 elements that was in a very kind of, I'll call it a conservative perimeter. We wanted those 2 lit elements to really affect the perimeter of the, perimeter of the box and really add a lot of 3-dimensionality, lots of shape, lots of interest to an area of the truck that typically kind of goes unthought. This isn't really something that we spent a lot of time on, but for this we did. So lots of shape, bold shapes. We also actually, our rear blind zone is actually integrated into our step. Our side step is something that came out in the last generation Silverado, huge customer win. We've actually increased the size of it, and we've integrated the side blind zone into this area. So again, for our tail lamp, when you go up to the premium lamp, which is this, you have a fully lit signature lamp, dual element, so there's never a compromise in the tail lamp. And I'll tell you, some of the favorite parts of the truck, and certainly the front end, the iconic front end is going to be something that we talk about a lot, but one of my favorite parts of the truck is the tailgate. Kind of a really dramatic spoiler here. We've kind of hid the handle up high and in the shadows, in kind of the shadows of the reflection, but then this kind of pad, the pad that comes out, and then the Chevrolet debossed into it. We've removed the Chevy bow tie and put the Chevrolet stamped in. It's actually in the aluminum gate. And it's something, to me, it's like I love looking back at some of the old Chevrolet trucks and seeing that. I love using that, the name graphically as part of a design element. And I'm just so happy that we're able to get this in. And not only, kind of working with our partners in engineering and manufacturing to make sure that it was done to the highest level of execution possible. So
Is this standard on all trucks?
On all trucks, from work truck all the way up to high country. So. No bow ties in the back gate. So it's kind of nice to me. It's like, this is kind of the business end of the truck, and there's not a big piece of jewelry in the middle there to get damaged. So I love the fact that it's integrated.
Now, with all the shapes that are going on, and there are an awful lot of shapes, they're fairly complex. All of the doors, basically anything that has a hinge on it is aluminum.
Anything that moves is aluminum, right?
But yet you still have steel panels here,
That's
so they
correct.
have to integrate with each other.
They got to work, yep.
Does it make a difference that heat affects steel differently than aluminum?
It does.
Is that something that you guys had to look at?
Well, it certainly does in the stamping operation. Aluminum, you have to have a little bit more curvature to aluminum. You have to have bigger radiuses on aluminum. But also when you bring those radiuses and actually get to the steel part of it, those all have to work together. So even though maybe in the steel you could be a little bit more razor sharp, the integration between what is gonna, and we certainly didn't want to have shapes that stayed out of aluminum because of what it did.
Right.
So they had to work with both. So we really had to understand the principles of both and make sure that we were working to both criterias.
I was actually looking at this very section that you pointed at, because that's exactly what I was thinking.
And kind of same with the door here. You've got these beautiful shapes in the door, a lot of great design, servicing, some beautiful servicing here, but you've got a metal fender, with an aluminum door. So for us to understand what the radiuses are going to be and what the curvatures of this front door were going to be, highly affected on how we were designing and sculpting that front fender. And hopefully we feel like, someone doesn't walk up and go, oh, okay, I see the steel and I see the aluminum, I see the no, it all integrates really well. We've got 8 trims, and the way we kind of talk about it is we kind of talk about them in the value side, the volume side, and then our premium side, right, our high feature. And the first 3 trims here, from work truck to the custom Trail Boss, this is our high value. So this is where price couldn't be more important for the Chevrolet customer. So it really starts off with our entry lamp. This is a reflector optic bulb lamp, right? So simple technology. This does not have the LEDs. This truck is about work. If the lamps get damaged, you could either replace the bulb, or a much cheaper option to replace this lamp, and obviously the LED lamp on the mid and the up level. And we think that's the right thing to do for the work truck end of the business. We also have kind of a very distinctive, because the headlamps are different, and their sizes require different volumes for light output, we've got a different bar that runs through here. This bar and grill insert, we've kind of got this, again, repeated stamping from the front is now brought in, or stamping in the rear is brought into the front. And actually this Chevrolet graphic is actually a flow through. There's actually air,
so
wind will go through that, actually affect engine cooling, something that was very important again for the work truck end of the business. It'll option, you can get it in kind of the work truck. You know, work truck will come with a black bar, either the black or the chrome bumper. This is an all body color, this custom, you know, body color bar, bumper, 20-inch wheel, dual exhaust. So really a great looking exterior truck at really a work truck price. And then really kind of a mix and match of materials here where you've got kind of the painted body color, whatever that is, whether it's white, red, whatever, gloss black bumper, gloss black on the Chevrolet bar, so very graphic approach. And again, this kind of off-road sport, so kind of on-road sport, off-road sport. This is where you get the 18-inch wheel and the mud tire.
Right.
You can also get up to a 20-inch wheel in this. And again, what a fun off-road truck at a work truck price. I mean, that is really something that's a first in the market. You know, for Chevrolet, you know, there's a part of that customer that value is so important. That price tag is so important. And you know, it's great to do premium off-road, and that's great. But the fact that you can kind of get to this 2-inch lift and this kind of, you know, fun trail truck at this price, we think our customers are going to love it. You know, kind of the next three are LT. We've got the blue LT up on stage. You know, that one's really where you kind of get to this chrome bumper. It's where you get to the chrome bar. You've got the LED, our mid-level LED headlamp here. You kind of see it here in this image. This is now our RST here. Our RST is like, if you think about today's Z71, where it's all body color, this is where we're kind of getting the body color bar, body color front and rear bumpers, where you can kind of get to your 20-inch wheel standard. And again, you know, body color door handles. And this is, again, kind of, I'll call it more of a classic sense, classic trim truck with the chrome front and rear bumpers. This one's kind of on-road sport. And then the model, again, that's up on stage, this is the LT Trail Boss, so a mid-level, 2-inch lift, mud tires, 18-inch wheel black, you know, this gloss blacked out front. I love the graphic quality between the gloss black front and the red or kind of a contrasting color. Really kind of sets it off and kind of shows this kind of front end mask, right? And it's just really, really a unique setup. And then so, you know, really these three trims here really represent our volume. This is really where the heart of the Chevrolet lineup is, right? LT trucks and versions of the LT. And you've kind of got our LTZ, right? We have a truck customer that couldn't love chrome more, right? And if they can chrome the whole truck, they probably would. But this one, chrome bar, chrome bumper, chrome skid plate, tow hooks, chrome inserts on that grill, still our medium lamps. You know, you'll be able to get to the chrome exhaust tips, chrome door handles, chrome skull caps. So again, there's a customer here. Usually it's on the higher end of our trim with all this chrome. So again, I'd say our LTZ is kind of an evolution of what we kind of commonly do on an LTZ trim from Silverado today and doing again tomorrow.
Okay.
And then High Country, our premium trim for Chevrolet. We really wanted to separate it from the other trims. Again, it's our entry where you can get to the big motor, the 6.2 liter. Comes with a standard 22-inch polished wheel. We've got a different kind of split chrome bar here.
Oh, and it looks
right?
Like, yeah, it says it on there too.
Right. It's got High Country molded in. We also have the grill inserts, its own. It's a multi-piece, a chrome and a bronze, kind of a different finish. This bronze is also picked up in the interior. So really nice play, interior and exterior. And again, you know, this truck here, trying to get to all premium, it's not all chrome. There's a nice combination of chrome, different materials, some body colors. So to me, this is the most, you know, kind of what I would consider kind of the designer premium. Very tasteful, very handsome, and done in a very new way. You know, High Country really represents kind of the highest, most comfortable premium trim, and we're really trying to set it off with its own look and its own front end.
I noticed that the bow tie from the other units, entry level, it's around here.
That's right.
It's very small, and then it kind of boom, grows and it goes into the center.
from the LT on up, bow ties back in the bar. Right.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And it really kind of gives, it really separates kind of work truck, you know, tough, durable, bold, graphic, and then more refinement as you walk up.
Got it.
So not just price, not just a price play, but there'll be folks that'll fall in love with that custom, and the fact of the matter is it'll be at a great price for them, as well as maybe falling in love with the LT Trail Boss, which is maybe a departure of where they've been if they've been a standard LT price point owner.
So this is, well, quick question for you.
You bet.
What is your favorite design element?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, threw that at you.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I thought you were going to come back, and I've been asked a couple times, which is my favorite trim.
Oh.
And so I was about ready to go there.
Okay, we can
right?
do trim,
yeah.
but I am curious about your favorite design element too.
Probably my favorite design element would really be around the front corner. It's probably the most expressive front corner that I've ever been part of in my design career. I was on the current generation Camaro, and there's a little bit of that kind of Camaro feel to it. It's aggressive, kind of the lamps are sunken in, but way more kind of taken to the next level. The integration of lamp to fascia to fender. I mean, this was something that was really such an incredible design challenge, not only in the studio but with our partners. And I love the way it's been executed. But I love the shapes in the body side. I love the stamped Chevrolet in the gate. I love the dual exhaust. It's hard to pick one of my kids on this truck.
That is what I'm asking.
Hard to do. I love the hood. I love all the shapes in the hood. So I think maybe if I was step back, the designer in me just says kind of architecturally what we've done. Getting to the wheelbase that we want, getting to the interior dimensions that we want, the short front overhang, the shorter hood, all those things architecturally to me really kind of set the recipe up for a successful design. So a new design.
Now, we haven't seen a long bed version of these on display yet, but is that going to be a similar type of design that the current short bed is?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to see the same sort of attitudes coming through here. The long box, the 8-foot box will really be matted to the single cab. And you're going to see the same design elements in it. Yep.
What's amazing to me is the fact that engineering and design have come together back here. Used to be kind of an afterthought, right? I mean, you had basic lights in the back, simple tailgate. Now you have an electrified tailgate that opens and closes. You have this carefully shaped component here. You have this step bumper. It's a lot of engineering that goes into this. It's a lot of fun too, because these guys at Chevrolet were great by giving these excellent interviews. Thank you for joining me for the Fast Lane Truck. It's Nathan Adlin. I'll see you next time.